Now, of course, there are a couple of pro gamers in StarCraft 2 that I like to cover more often on this YouTube channel than others. And the simple reason for that is that, well, first off, I'm a big fan. Secondly, they participate in a lot of tournaments, and obviously, because of that, they have a lot of replays that are circulating the internet as well. But last but not least, they are also at the tippity top of the skill level. Now, oddly enough, the reason why I'm bringing it up, it's been a while since I've casted both of these guys in this particular game right here on Death Aura. Now, the player here in the top left-hand corner playing with the blue Zerg drones. He is the current world champion of StarCraft 2, right? And that's why maybe this is a little bit strange. I haven't casted any of his games since June. It's been a little while. Regardless, from South Korea, we are looking at none other than Dark's main hatchery. His opponent in the opposite corner. It's been even longer since I casted a game of his. I was going through my YouTube videos. I think the last time I casted him was like in January? I know, that's ridiculous, but playing here with the red Terran pieces, we have the highest ranked player from China. Of course, that means we have none other than Time. Alrighty, so here we go. So Time, as of me making this video on Aligalek, is currently the number 27 in the world, and Dark is currently considered to be the number 6. That said, it feels like, at least compared to last year, Dark is having a significantly harder time. So the premier tournament over in South Korea is the GSL Codes. So there have been 3 seasons of the GSL Codes this year so far. In the first one of this year, he made it to the round of 8, so that was shortly after winning BlizzCon. And then in the second and the third season, he was out in the round of 16. That is a little bit early for someone like Dark. He seems to be struggling a little bit more this year, and while he's obviously still extremely highly ranked and he's still extremely good, there just simply aren't that many Dark games out there. He also seems to be one of those guys that doesn't really participate in a whole lot of online tournaments, and because of that, I just don't have that many replays of his. Anyhow, let us see how both of these guys decide to approach the game. One thing that I really like about the different pro gamers at the highest level is that they, generally speaking, tend to approach the different matchups a little bit differently. Already, look at this. So Time has decided to just scout with an SCV. He's seeing the timing right here of the potential third base, I suppose, of Dark, but he's actually opening up with a bunch of Marines rather than a Reaper, and that's kind of what I mean, like pretty much all the top level guys, they're all playing the same build order over and over and over again. This is apparently going to be a Marine-based opener right here for Time. Now, I do feel like he may have been able to grab that Overlord. Obviously, he knows that there might be Zerglings out on the map, so maybe this is actually something that Dark is trying to force out right now, yeah. I think this is actually Time with the big brain plays right there. He knows that the Zerglings weren't over at the third base, so they must be somewhere. So going after that Overlord is certainly not the correct choice. Alrighty, Factory is going to come up here. Is he going to do the big switcheroo? Because usually with a 1-1-1 opener, yeah, looks like he will. Usually with a 1-1-1 opener, you open up with a Reaper and then you go into a Marine, just to make sure that you don't lose the SCV that's building the command center on the low ground, and then you go into Hellion production. Now notice here, he got pretty much all the scouting information done just with that one SCV, and he instead gets himself 6 of those Marines out instead. Now, there are a couple of ways in which Dark can capitalize on this. Knowing that there is no Reaper means that there's not going to be a follow-up scout, and there it is. Okay, I like that. So, without a follow-up scout, this Roach Warren is basically not going to be spotted anytime soon, right? He's probably not going to know about the fact that there are going to be roaches out on the map until he actually sees them. And that's usually a little late, so we'll see how this push is going to go. Second gas is coming up. Notice as well that Dark is getting that in the main base. He knows that there's no Reaper jumping up that high ground here anytime soon. So this is a clever little play here by Dark, making sure that his opponent is not going to be aware of this push. Now Time also actually taking his sweet time. Hilarious. He's taking his time though, making sure that he gets, I guess, 6 Hellions out before he starts roaming here. Yeah, he wants to bring the Marines to the party as well. Okay, so what we're looking at right now is Dark going for a big timing attack. He just scouted with a cheeky little Zergling right there, the timing of the third CC as well, and this now means that he knows he can deal a lot of damage. Especially now, it can be a little bit awkward because the medevac is going across, the Hellions are going across. That means that there's not going to be any units available at home to really defend. I mean, on the side of the Terran player, that is. Obviously, you do need at least a couple of units here inside of the main base to deal with this, but that medevac is not achieving a whole lot and needs to get out of there. At the same time, we did see apparently a little bit of a skirmish right there between the Hellions and the Roaches, but no workers went down over at the third. Jokes on Time, I suppose. There's no workers to kill. There's only a handful. Not really worthwhile. Now, this is nice. Time actually decides to now kill an Overlord, which is gonna slow down the morphin of the Ravager, which, well, I mean, it was gonna slow down the Roach Ravager morph a little bit longer, but let's see how this is gonna go. So how many units are we talking about? 4 Roaches, couple Ravagers, and a handful of Zerglings. Dark has already gone back towards the lair, and now also just droning, so I don't think he's actually gonna be able to deal that much damage here at all, especially now because obviously Time bought himself a lot of time. Oh my god, so many puns! But he bought himself a lot of time with that Marine shenanigans. That he now has himself a couple of bunkers up. 3rd CC is done, so you can't really counter that anymore either. And it's actually really critical that Dark does not overextend here, because even if you kill like 10 workers, that 3rd command center is just gonna drop mules left, right, and center, and it's very, very scary. So good timing right there. He manages to get out of there before that siege tank really gets some of those pot shots in. So nicely done right there by the Zerg player. Now, supply block. Yeah, eventually it does finish up, but that was a... I don't know, like a good 10 seconds or so of a supply block, which is certainly not what you're looking for if you are the Terran player in this scenario, especially because Zerg has not been slowed down here at all. I mean, the only reason why Zerg doesn't have, you know, as much eco as you might expect at this point in the game is because he decided to make a bunch of Roaches, but Terran has not actually done anything to slow down this Zerg player here whatsoever, other than, you know, kill 1 Overlord. Now, I like this. Look at that. A couple of Hellions have decided to make their way into the main base. But this is so risky. That is such a low hit point medevac. Queens, though, not paying attention. And it does mean that they unload, and they're going to be able to start roasting some of those drones. Welcome to the barbecue. We got a social distance, but it's okay. We still get some of those juicy drones out. Hellions obviously lose their value over time. It's nice to keep them alive, but this is critical. Super nice to get at least a little bit of damage out on the board. Now the medevac, I mean, it's away here, man. This medevac actually serves a purpose. After the Hellions are gone as well, so Time is just gonna simply sacrifice those Hellions inside of the Zerg's main base, just to make sure that he can keep that medevac alive. Alright, so, looks like we're setting ourselves up for a nice big macro game. 3rd base has been secured here by the Terran player, but the 4th CC is already coming up. Bit of an awkward moment right here for Dark, so... Generally speaking, right, Roach Ravager is amazing until the Terran players max out and get a bunch of upgrades going. Especially once 2-2 finishes, Terran will go straight into 3-3. And if you're playing Roach Ravager, you're kind of stuck on like early to mid-game tech that you can't really easily improve on. So I really like what Dark is doing here. He already has started up the transition towards Ling Bane. So the Roaches and Ravagers, he made a bunch of them just to make sure that he doesn't die to stupid stuff. But I think he's just going to switch on over to full-on Ling Bane from here, which is really clever because if you're stuck on Roach Ravager... I mean, I don't know if you guys play a lot of ladder, but if you're a Zerg player and you're stuck on Roach Ravager and the game goes past the 5-minute mark... okay, maybe 15-minute mark. The Roaches and Ravagers just fall off. I mean, the efficiency of Marine Marauder Medevac tank is pretty insane, especially once they get close to maxing out. And they will pretty much always be able to go there. Now, that said, I can't help but notice that Dark is getting himself a lot of units out right now. He's sitting on 80 workers, which obviously is more than enough here, at least for the time being. He can even secure a 5th base if he wants to. He's going up towards the Hive, but he's going for a lot of unit production, so I wouldn't be too surprised here if he decides to go for a big push in just a little bit, especially because he hasn't started up the 5th hatch yet. We'll see. He's playing this already a little bit differently, though, than the way that, like, Raynor and Serral and Rogue and all those other guys like to play, right? So I'm glad I'm having a look at this. And actually, same can be said for Time, obviously, opening up with a different strategy. And while it didn't really work out that well in this game, I can imagine he blindsides a lot of opponents just by going for a slightly different start. Okay, so there's the additional 3 barracks. So he's going to go up to, what is that? Is that 8 CC? Yeah, so 8 barracks production here. That is basically the standard for quite some time. So the 8 command centers, the 8 barracks are going to be able to, you know, produce a ton of bio units very, very rapidly. He already has the double siege tank production coming up as well, so the 2nd factory is already out. And this is nice. If you actually can snipe that upgrade, that would be huge. Ooh, just barely not going to happen. A lot of Zerg players are very fond right now of playing either that Hydra Ling Bane style or that Muta Ling Bane style. Dark actually is as well, but obviously if you don't really have any anti-air, these medevac drops can be an absolute pain in the butt. Oh, don't throw in the Banelings. Banelings almost sacrificing themselves to the rocks there. So he's gonna go into Vipers, he's gonna go into an Ultralisk Cavern as well, but there's still no anti-air. I mean, I guess there's some corrosive balls, right? But other than that, there's really no anti-air. So these Medivacs, I mean, they are keeping the Zerg player pinned back. That's one of the things that Medivacs do really, really nicely. So if you're a Terran player, you certainly want to do this against a Roach Ravager-based opener in particular. When you know your opponent is stuck on their bases, they're not really going to be able to attack you very easily either, right? Like, as soon as you see them moving out, you should be moving in with a couple of Medivacs, and that's basically exactly what Time has been doing here so far. Just constantly threatening little flybys there, forcing this Zerg player to stay on their side of the map. And because of that, right now, he's going to go up to the 6th command center at this point in the game. Nicely done here by Time. Now, Zerg obviously already gets himself a lot of upgrades going. He already has a nice little bank as well, +3/+3. Well, he should be getting +3 started here shortly, once that Evo Chamber finishes its upgrade as well. But he's already going into late game tech. So, despite the fact we had a pretty explosive start to this game, right now we are at a bit of a passive moment. Alright, so let's see how this goes from here. 2 Medivacs in the top right-hand corner, big Terran army here in the bottom left. Time has a maxed out army, plus he has got a nice bank as well. There's no creep over here, so this is really critical. At the same time, Medivacs, oh, okay, just skipping past that base instead. I feel like he could have easily got that, but apparently he wants to go after the workers instead. All of the siege tanks are currently clumped up. It looks like Time was not anticipating the Vipers to already be out. At the same time, ooh, is he going to be able to grab that? He will be able to deny the chitinous plating upgrade and even the +3 melee. Okay, so that was nice. That was really good. Despite the fact that there was a pretty significant blunder over there, having all those siege tanks clumped up together, this dropship over here is making up for that. Nicely done. Or I guess dropships. Plural. Okay, well, I don't know why they're sacrificing themselves. Oof. Alright. So that's good. Doesn't seem very significant, but this really halters the time right here. God, how many time jokes can I make in one video? That was unintentional, by the way. Pretty much all of these have been unintentional. But what I'm trying to say is that Time just bought himself a lot of time, okay? And he's going to use this time okay, I can't help it, guys. It goes automatically, okay? Anyways, he's going to try and use this time to now continue expanding on his side of the map. I'm trying to say it with a straight face. There are ultras out, but without chitinous plating, these guys just melt. +3 carapace is going to come up as well. +3 melee is coming up here too. But this is slowing everything down a lot. So he should be able to now secure a planetary over in this location too. And that's really critical. Usually there's a couple of moments where Terran players get stuck in a game of Zerg versus Terran. At least when it comes to like the pro level, right? A lot of Terran players get stuck on that 4th. And then they can't secure a 5th base. That's super common. We see that quite a bit. Right now, though, Time has got himself the 5th CC up. A follow-up moment where Terran players tend to get stuck as well is after the 5th base mines out as well. Like, securing this high ground base or this base over here on the right, super difficult to actually get done. Okay. You can see, though, that Dark probably was intending on fighting here at some point, but now he's just waiting for his upgrades to finish up once more. He did finish up the Ultralisk Cavern upgrades. Yep, he's got both of them. 2 sensor towers. Oddly overlapping each other, but I guess that's okay. Another CC starts up, though. This is like a heavy focus here by Time on macro. I like the idea. I'm just a little bit worried because generally speaking, whenever Terran players do this, we just still see Zerg players taking more bases. And he needs to secure like another couple of bases if he wants to go toe-to-toe right here with this Zerg player that's trying to make this game go the distance, right? I mean, Dark can just try and take this expo over here, and once this one is secured, he can kind of go for the one over here as well, especially as the Terran player is slowly moving most of his army towards the left-hand side of the map. He needs to try and secure this base, right? And that kind of opens up the opportunity for Dark to grab some of the bases on the right-hand side. Now, would you look at that? Alrighty, so we have some nukes on the production tab, or at the very least one. I'm secretly hoping we're going to be seeing more, but that is also something that we haven't seen too much recently. So I'm excited to see how much damage he can do with those nukes. Most of the time, at the pro level, once again, we don't really see the nukes themselves dealing a whole lot of damage, but it's just an additional layer, okay? If StarCraft 2 is like a cake, I guess it's the cherry on top, the icing on top of the cake, you know? It's just to force additional attention from your opponent's battles, and usually that's the one thing that nukes do extremely well. So there's one ghost. Oh my god, that's a ghost with a mission, man. Look at that guy, determined as well. Just walking inside of the Zerg's force. Doesn't really care about the fact that he could die at any given moment. That's a stealth assassin if I've ever seen one. So there's 2 ghost academies right over there right now, and I've got a feeling that we're just about to see the very first nuke going up. So there it is. At the same time, Terran is also making a bit of a move forward. It actually looks like Dark is the one making a move. Is he paying attention? Okay, he already spotted where that nuke is gonna go. At the same time, though, we do see a really good trade here for the Terran player. Nuke goes off over at that 5th base of the Zerg, or 6th, whatever it is. But, I mean, I don't actually know if I like the fact that Dark decided to push there. I mean, if we look right here at the cost efficiency, already, Terran is a little bit ahead in that regard, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's gonna get more ahead as this progresses. Apparently, this is really like a crazy stealth assassin, man. Look at this guy. He just microed the ghost to get 10 kills. Fantastic. Abduct it, man! Bring that guy back! Okay, no need. No need, no need. Oh my god. Dude. Despite the fact that he had his stealth assassin training, they did not have a dying in silence or with peace class. It's actually kind of weird. Like, half the ghosts die with never say die. You know? That's kind of what they say when they go down, and the other ones are like, it's a little bit strange. I don't know why. You know, they have 2 options. Either they sound badass, like a James Bond villain, or they scream. Well, to be fair, I guess if you get eaten up by a bunch of Zerglings, I mean, these guys, they look rather friendly, but pretty sure it's rather painful. Anyhow. So this is what I was talking about, right? There's another nuke. Looks like Terran is trying to secure this high ground. And I do feel like the nukes do a really good job buying time here, right? So he could try, once again, another nuke. He could try to go for the base up here on the high ground while he's doing these nukes. And I actually think that may very well be critical. So nuke over there at that base will get countered. This one over here probably won't even land. Will it? Nope. Ooh, well. Okay, one Ultralisk really wanted to go down as well. But I would love to see him trying to take this base right now. Okay, well, Dark realizes what's going on. He's like, wait a second, I know exactly what you're trying to do. Still, though, these Ultras, also known as Paperlisks, just simply get wrecked so easily by those ghosts. That said, though, Dark is constantly forcing this Terran player back. And as long as he buys time and he ensures that this Terran's not taking another expansion, he's gonna be alright. While this is all going on, he's happily macroing and getting a lot of income off of the bases that he's got, right? So he's still sitting at a very healthy bank. And despite the fact that he currently, you know, doesn't have like the most powerful army in the books, he does have the Terran player right now secured on 5 bases. And whenever the Terran player is secured on any bases and you have any plus like 2 bases, you're gonna be a pretty happy Zerg player. So despite the fact that he's taking inefficient trades, he is making sure that this Terran player is not expanding further. So we'll see if Time is going to be able to secure another base. This is kind of the moment, other than like when a Terran player is stuck on 4 bases, this is kind of the moment where, you know, Terrans lose. We'll see how this goes from here. Oh my god. Well, Dark, you have a bank, but I don't know if you necessarily want to like, you know, throw away that many units. Ooh, now I did. This is cute. Alright, sadly it does get spotted right there by the Zerg player. But using that high ground vision there with that scan to make sure that he can apparently grab it. Now he does scan once again as well to see if the drones were still there. That scan didn't really achieve anything. That was just a greedy Terran scan, okay? He's like, oh my god, did I get him? Oh, I didn't. I didn't. That's a little bit sad. Man, alright. This reminds me a little bit of like the Terran versus Zerg of old. Okay, now... here's the big move. This is where Time needs to buy himself a little bit of... exactly. And he's now grabbing himself that planetary, right? So once that planetary is secured, life's gonna be way better. Here comes the Zerg. Oh, that is a large Zerg army. Is there gonna be enough right now for the Zerg player to break through this? I've got a feeling that while the Ultras are pretty good, they're probably not gonna be enough. No, Ultras, man, they suck. I mean, we still see Ultras being used here just to, well, once again, buy time, right? For the Zerg player to get the Lings and the Banes to close the distance instead. But this is actually really nice. Look at that, actually. This now opened up the opportunity for Time to apparently grab the base here in the top left-hand corner. Another nuke is being deployed once more to this base, but right away, Dark scouts where it's going to be located. And this time around, apparently... Ah, there's a Spore Crawler over here. I was going to say, is that really in range there? But this time around, he will be able to get the kill. That said... Time got himself a new base out, and this is super critical. Is it gonna be enough? That's the real question. Honestly, with this base being over here, Red, you have an anchor to fall back to constantly, and I've got a feeling that this base is gonna be a Terran one very, very shortly. Maybe that's the reason why Time actually decided, or sorry, why Dark actually decided to grab this base on the left-hand side before he grabbed this one. I don't know if that's in anticipation of this move happening here that Time just went for, but... I mean, this base right now is already, like, mostly mined out, right? I mean, this is still certainly worth putting a CC down for, but... I don't know. Like, this base is never going to be taken by the Terran player, that's what I'm trying to say. Alrighty, so look at this. Time has got himself a new staging grounds. Wait, is he making Mutas? Oh, wow. Oh, snap, dude. He's got, like, 20 Mutas here in a little bit. Oh, a late-game Muta transition? So usually Mutas fall off pretty badly in Zerg versus Terran. Main reason is that, well, Terran get like, you know, good upgrades and then late game units and stuff, right? Like Liberators and Ghosts, and all those units are particularly good against, well, I mean, Liberators are not amazing, but they're not bad either against Mutas. One big advantage though that Mutas obviously have over, like, you know, the Ultras here. Well, I mean, they have a million advantages because Ultras suck, okay? I've been telling you for months now. But one big advantage that they have is that they are super mobile, right? So he can actually go in for counterattacks, and I think that's exactly, well, what he maybe wanted to be doing here. Another big advantage is that this Ultra-based army and this, like, mid-game force that Dark went for with the Roaches and Ravager forced the Terran player to go into siege tanks rather than Medivacs. Or, sorry, rather than Widow Mines. And I wonder if that actually makes this Muta transition a pretty good idea. If there would be like a dozen Widow Mines scattered all over the bases and over at his army and stuff, like, then all of a sudden these Mutas would be rather weak. What are you going to do right now if you're the Terran player? So he's got a bunch of missile turrets set up. +3 flyer attacks just finished up though, and that's a bit of an awkward position as well. You don't really see that... too often as a Terran player, right? Like +3 flyer attack Mutalisks? I don't even really know exactly how they trade at this point to Marines. I'm assuming Marines are still going to be pretty good, but... he's going to soon go up to 30 Mutas. Huh. Now look at what's happening here as well to the Terran's army positioning, right? So all of their production is still coming out of the main base, or at least the majority of it is. However, while this nuke once again is... moving up, the Ghost sadly does die there. The entirety of the Terran force right now has basically maneuvered here towards the left-hand side to hold on to those outer bases. Now here's an army of Ghosts chasing down a bunch of... This is so odd, we never see this. Do you want to snipe them or do you just fight straight up? I actually don't know. But yeah, the entire army here of the Terran player is on the left-hand side of the map, and that means that the main base, which is where, you know, the soft underbelly of the Terran player is, I mean, it's super exposed to those Mutas. Cool move right here by Dark, not something that I've really seen too much of. One thing to keep in mind with this is that it's costing him an awful lot of gas, so he doesn't really have much of a gas bank anymore. Okay, here once again, come the Zerg forces. Siege tanks, though, have cycled back towards the main base. Nice disengage right there by the South Korean Zerg player. Okay, double planetary over here. Time doesn't need any additional gases, so he actually decided to get rid of those. This base over here is actually a Terran one, right? So, rather important here that this... well, actually, is it a Terran one? I don't know. It's a little hard to say right now. Anyways, look at this. While the Terran army is distracted right here on the right-hand side of the map, the Mutas move in to the left. A late-game Muta transition. I don't think I've really seen this before. Look at the Ghosts. They're just scrambling right now towards this position. And nicely done at the very least by Dark. He runs away before those Ghosts actually get in. So apparently he's scared of them as well. I think in a straight-up fight, time would probably be okay, but the problem is that Dark is never going to give him that straight-up fight, right? I mean, he's always going to be fighting on creep, and he's always going to have a lot of Lings and Banes, and then the Muta's in a different position. So look, once again, while the Terran player is forced to focus their attention over on this side, we do see the Mutas moving in towards the left. Oh my god. So apparently he decided to commit a lot of attention there to those Ultralisks for quite some time. And he's like, nah, this works really poorly. I'm gonna go ahead and go back down to Mutas. Even though I started off this game with Roach Ravager and I never really got to Muta tech, a late game Mutalisk transition. Really neat. I wonder if this unit composition here by time is the most ideal one to play. I'm really not sure. Oh my god, those siege tanks are so spread out. I feel like against this kind of thing, you need Widow Mines. Like, without Widow Mines, what are you gonna do? Like, those siege tanks aren't really achieving that much anymore. I mean, obviously they're good, don't get me wrong, but I feel like we need to see a Thor or, like, Widow Mines, you know? Like, 1 or 2 Thors would make a world of difference here. I don't know about the siege tanks. How many ghosts are we on, by the way? 17 ghosts and 19 Mutas. It's just that Mutas are fast, man. Look at these bad boys. So, in a way, this is now forcing that Terran economy to be much, much lower as well. Now, speaking of economy, though, another base here was the knight on the right-hand side of the map. Dark, though, once again, gets a good engagement. Decided to add in a couple more Ultras here. I mean, I guess that's fine if the Ghosts are chasing down the Mutas. Yeah, these... I mean, I feel like this is a misplay. I like the idea of using the Ghosts to, at the very least, try and deal with those Mutas. But this, right now, basically gives the Zerg army free reign of this side of the map. If he knows that the Ghosts are on the left, right, chasing down the Mutas, I mean, they're never going to catch the Mutas. That means that all of a sudden Ultralisks are once again good. Really clever play here by Dark, and I feel like there's a strategic error right here by time. Pretty sure what he should be doing here, as soon as he saw the transition towards 30 Mutas, is switch these factories over with a reactor and just start producing those Widow Mines, or immediately add in like 2 rounds of Thors. Like, keep the Ghosts with the main army and then leave 2 Thors or so over on these planetaries, you know? That would be so much better. I think that would be a significantly better move. Now, this, at this point, is the lifeline right here of the Terran player, though. There is very, very little mining left over in other locations, and I'm looking at the clock right now. We're 27 minutes into the game. Dark is essentially still maxed out. He's got himself a really nice bank, and while Time's army is pretty good, he just doesn't really have the oomph anymore, you know? Like, he's got some good punching power, I suppose, but no real potential to remax again. Look at this. He doesn't even have the money to make 2 Marines at this point. He does manage to kill 2 more bases, but, I mean, the Mutas are still going to town. Yeah. So, this is the first time that I'm personally seeing a late-game transition back down towards Mutalisks. Turns out, +3 flyer attack Mutas are really, really strong. I think, like, right now we do see some Widow Mines here added into the mix, but I think we should have probably seen those a little bit sooner, because right now, I mean, these bases are gone. Once again, you leave for a second, and the Zerg infestation has once more secured that base on the left. He's also grabbing the base here on the right. Look at Brenda over here. She's been tasked with putting down more tumors than she can actually ever hold energy, but that's okay. Rapid fire is a hell of a drug. Yeah, so this is almost like Dark taunting his opponent right now. Now, honestly though, look at this bank here from the Zerg. It's basically depleted. Like this, I think that this is gonna be a Zerg victory, but this has been incredibly close. I really feel like if there would have been a couple of Thors on the left-hand side of the map instead, and then the Ghosts with the main army, Time probably could have continued pushing over here while simultaneously actually holding down to these bases. He's not out of the game yet, but Dark obviously is looking extremely solid in this position. He is long-distance mining, though. I mean, he doesn't have that much income anymore himself. Actually, you know what? All these bases are mined out, so the only mining bases are the ones right here on the high ground. I know there's gonna be a couple of Terran players watching this like, but I think we can all agree that that's what they sound like in the comment section anyway. Whenever I read them. You know, I think we can all agree that this was, strategically speaking, very, very clever here by Dark. and not the correct response right there by time. Oh yeah, those Mutas are pretty scary. Yeah, so at this point, Dark is just breathing, right? All he's doing here is just sitting, knowing very well that the worst his opponent is gonna have is one mining base, and he just secured 2. He also knows that he's got some creep spread over there, and he knows that he can probably continue harassing on one side of the map and then move his main army towards the other side of the map, and that's exactly what is happening here. Apparently, this is the moment where Time has decided to put all of his eggs in one basket. The Zerg army, once again going back. I actually feel like the Mutas need to join this battle too. Here's the Ghosts, man. Once again, look at the Ghosts. Just fight this right now. Yeah, just go in. The Ghosts are not present with the main army, so that means that the Mutas can certainly go to town. Here we go. Now, this is still a scary Terran force, though, man. These Ultras are still made out of paper, but, I mean, despite the fact that this is the best fight that the Terran player can take at this point, it is just not gonna be enough. Dark significantly ahead in the supply count. And while I really like the position there by Time, I love the way that he fought up towards that 5th base on the left, and then eventually the 6th and the 7th on the left-hand side of the map. That's where most of the Terran mistakes are made. He did that absolutely brilliantly. I just didn't really like the way that he responded to the Mutas. And likewise, I did really like Dark, making the decision there to go back down in tech from the Ultralisk to the Mutalisk. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you very much for your generosity. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile, alright? And I will see you once again in the next one.